Ken Weller here with New Tech Inventors. I'm at the new assembly room down here at the print farm. We finally got this thing halfway put together and have started getting it ready to be operational. So next week it will be operational. But I thought I'd show you what's happened since the last video. And as you can see, we've got all of these bins, or quite a few of them, full of our parts now that we'll be able to use. We'll be putting labels on them and labeling everything and labeling the shelf so we know where they go. We've got other parts that we're using in assembling the lap diner and the helping hand over here, and other inventory up on top and power supplies and so forth. Then we've got our work area. We've got our workbench set up. We're putting tools and trying to organize them and so forth on the pegboard. I've got an inventory of different size and types of hooks and pegboard hangers and stuff, and I'll be able to put those up and put everything where we need it as we need it. So we're currently bringing stuff in here now. This is some of the belt material for the lap diner, heat shrink for the helping hand, and these are some of the new prototype parts. This is actually a filament holder for the King Room printers. I'll be showing you a little bit more about that, but this is all prototype stuff here. And we have some helping hands set up with Dremel tools and stuff. And if you notice, we've made these foot switches so we can use the foot switches to power our tools and so forth. Have different lights and brightnesses and stuff as we need them. And trying to set up these different work areas with the tools that we're going to need for that specific area. Down here we're going to be doing more soldering and some heat shrink. And we've also got a foot switch for this hot air gun. And if you notice, these are some of the tool holders that we've made for the hot air gun so that they won't tip over anything. And then we've got some soldering stations set up. Got a fume extractor here, one of the prototype fume extractors for the soldering station, where we can position this to extract the fumes when we're soldering. We have a larger version of that we're going to be bringing over here and setting up. And then we have, again, just some more holders and stuff for holding things as we solder them, using the helping hand for that. And we'll be putting some of our smaller parts in different bins along the wall here. But we still have a lot of stuff to bring down here, and I've got to kind of clear this area out so it can also be a work area. So that's basically what's going on now. I'm glad we finally have this area set up, because on the other side, next to the print room, we had a little shipping area and a filament storage area. And we were also trying to use that for assembly, and it was a disaster. It was just a mess. We couldn't assemble stuff well. Parts were all over the place. We still have a lot of parts over on the other side that have already been assembled or partially assembled, and we'll be bringing those over here. I'm going to set up a bin wall there that will have bins on it and some shelf units that will help hold those assembled units. So there's a lot to be done around here, but I feel that it's been a slow process, a small operation. When you're a one-man operation, pretty much I do all the 3D printing, and 95% of the work around here. I do have a student intern that comes in a few hours a week in the evenings and works a little bit and helps me, and that does help out. But still, there's just a lot of stuff going on. But hopefully this will help us have a place so that as demand increases for some of the products that require assembly, that I'll be able to bring some additional people in here and have an area where they can work and do that assembly work. I do still have an assembly area up at the house in my bonus room, and that's where my grandson used to do a lot of assembly when he was helping me, but he hasn't had much time lately. I've done a lot of assembly up there myself as it's needed. But I wanted to show you, I'm kind of proud of, it's not the greatest place in the world, but it is going to be functional, and I do like the idea of having workstations for different aspects. Like I said, on the other side we would be doing some soldering, then we'd move all the soldering stuff out of the way and do some heat shrink, then we move all that out of the way and do some other assembly. And it just didn't work out good. But here we'll be able to have an assembly area for each part of the assembly process. Got some of the lap diners here, some of the prototypes and so forth, and that's something I'm going to be heavily involved with, getting those printed and try to get some of those on the market as soon as possible. There's a lot involved in starting a business and getting it up and running, and to where it's more than just a hobby, to where you're capable of making some money at it and actually running a business. It's taken me a long time to get to this point. Of course, I haven't been in a great hurry. You've got to remember, I'm supposed to be retired. I haven't been in a big hurry to try to get everything done. I've been trying to pace myself. You have to remember, I'm supposed to be retired now. I've already hit 75 years old, and that's time to slow down a little bit. But you don't stop. You keep going. And now I feel like I've reached another milestone that I wanted to be at with this business, and I haven't spent any money on advertising or marketing or anything to any degree up to this point. But now I'm going to start doing that, and in doing that I expect the online business and the Amazon business and stuff to start increasing in sales. We're going to be putting these new products on there and the enhanced products and so forth, so there'll be a lot more product on the website and on Amazon and so forth for sale. Of course, we'll put things on the website before we put them on Amazon in most cases. It's taken a while to get to this point, and now the next thing to do is market these products. When you come to the website, you don't want to just see a picture of something like this. People will say, that looks like some kind of a robotic spider or something. What does it do? Well, you have to be able to market something. You have to be able to show people in a picture or in a few words how this thing is actually working and how it can turn on a light for you so you can see, and how it can grind apart or do some type of task, or soldering and exhausting the fumes, or heat shrink without having to hold the heat shrink gun in your hand and pulling the trigger, using the foot switch for something like that, and just being able to put the the heat shrink up there and push your foot and let it do its job. So all of these tools and the helping hand are designed to help make working in an environment like this, or in a shop area or a repair area or anything, to make the task easier. And these little clamps and stuff, the plastic ones as well as the metal alligator clamps, as well as the high intensity lights, really help to show detail, especially as you get later years like myself, where your eyes don't work as good as they should. So that's one of the reasons that I came up with this idea, was to help me, because I obviously can't see as well as I used to. I need more light in a work area, and these products help it. When I'm soldering or trying to do something, sometimes I need an extra hand to hold something for me, and that's what these clamps do. And you can position them wherever you need them. Not only am I trying to be able to show other people how they can use these products, but I can show you how I use them. And as we start assembling these parts, you'll see what each one of these does that assists in a part of my assembly process for the products that I'm selling online. That's some of what I wanted to talk to you about. And if you remember, when we first started with these videos, the idea I was going to video and post on YouTube my progress, as well as the ups and downs, things that worked, things that didn't work, what all I've had to do to put things together here. It was to show other people how I'm doing it. And at the time, I didn't know how far it would go. I didn't know if it would work, and I didn't know that I would get this far. As far as I knew, I might have gotten so far with it and decided it was too much work, more than I need to bite off at this point in my life. But I was determined, and that determination kept me going. And that was one of the things that I've tried to express to other people out there that might be wanting to start a business like this, get into a 3D printing and online business. It can be done, and it's not that hard. I mean, it was kind of hard for me doing it all by myself, but if I can do it at my age all by myself, then I'm sure, especially the younger audience out there, can do it too, and they can do it a lot easier and a lot faster. So I wanted to encourage people to take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. Take some risk. If you're young, you're single, don't have a lot of responsibilities and stuff, wanting to get going with your life, at some point you need to quit taking the easy road. Sometimes if you have an idea and you want to try to be your own boss and have your own business and make something out of it, you have to take that first step. And that first step is to just commit yourself and take off with your idea. Now, it may mean going out and buying a couple of 3D printers and designing a part and coming up with it and setting up a website and trying to sell these parts and so forth. But if it doesn't work out, what's the big deal? You're young. When I went through so many businesses in my life, some of them worked, some of them didn't. But if you have something that doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, you don't just quit. You turn around and you look for another opportunity, because a lot of times when you fail in something, you fail in a business, and you aren't able to continue with that business, all's not lost. Because a lot of times failing in a business opens a door for a new business and something that you can succeed in. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is when you're young and have these opportunities, go for them. If something doesn't work out right, pivot and find something or some way to do it again and do it a little differently to where it will work. And you'll be surprised. I guess it's like a baseball player. You go up to bat and you don't hit a home run every time, but you strike out enough times and pretty soon it's going to come around and you're going to hit that home run. That may be a poor analogy. Let me encourage you to at least give it a shot and try, because there have been several people that have commented on some of my videos and have asked questions and have indicated that they're wanting to try to start something. And I want to be as encouraging as I can. And I hope that some of the videos that I've done and the way I've shown how I've come up with some of the ideas and how I've 3D printed them and what I've been doing to make my 3D printers more efficient and operate better. And I'm going to be doing another video pretty soon because we're ramping up and we'll probably be doing a lot of printing next week. And even though it's hard to do a video in there, I'll at least get some video footage. I won't be able to talk over the sound of a lot of printers running, but I can dub over it later or something and show you some of the printers that are running and how I have them set up to print different parts and so forth. I'll try to show you as much as I can, but I've seen a lot of things in my lifetime come along. I've seen us go from using vacuum tubes in electronics to transistors and solid state circuitry and so forth. I've seen the old dial phones go to touch tone and then to cell phones, and there's been a lot of progress made. And the microprocessor, when it came out and everybody went to computers, when the internet came along, these were monumental things that have happened, and you need to take advantage of the internet. It's very easy to go out there and set up a website, and with social media and everything, getting people to come to your website, trying to post videos on YouTube or on social media and get your product out there. And 3D printing is a big part of that. 3D printing, when I first got into it and realized what you were capable of doing with 3D printers, I was pretty amazed. And I think that right now, if you combine the 3D printing capability with the internet, websites, social media, you can create a good marketing tool there, and you can create good products with 3D printing, and it can turn into a fantastic business. So the time's right. If you're thinking about doing it, get off your butt and get started. It doesn't take much. I went out, my first printer I bought was $85, and I assembled it, put it together, and downloaded a free Autodesk 123D design and designed my first part and printed on the printer, and did all of that for probably less than $200, including the filament and stuff that I bought. So my whole proof of concept and what sold me on it was that $200 investment in a printer and some filament and some free software. And I kept adding more and more printers, and I wasn't buying any more of those $85 cheap printers. I started buying $150 printers. And people say that's cheap, but I have a room full of ANET ET4s. I bought a lot of them for well under $150 each. And I also bought some ANET A8s for anywhere from $150 to $200, which are the 300 by 300 millimeter build surface. Yeah, they're not real expensive printers. And yeah, I do have some problems with them, but I've figured those printers out. I understand them and they understand me, and I know what I have to do to get them to print. And I can go in there and put parts on those printers. Once they're set up and tweaked and I've got everything right, they'll run several cycles printing maybe 20 or 30, 40 of those parts before I have to make any adjustments or tweaking. And then when something does go wrong, then I know what it is almost immediately. It's very seldom now that I get stumped by a problem and can't figure out what's causing it. Especially when you have several printers over there that are all identical and they're all printing the same part, or more than one of them is printing the same part, and they're doing fine and one is messing up. Well, then you know that it's not your slicer software or the part you're trying to print. It's got to be something with that printer itself. And in a lot of the videos, if you've watched them, I've tried to show you things that I've found that have caused problems, so that if you encounter that problem, you can probably look at that solution that I came up with to solve it. And there are a lot of variables with 3D printing. The environment, I've got to keep the humidity and the temperature consistent over there when I'm printing, because if I get off with the ambient temperature 10, 15, 20 degrees, it's going to make a big difference. So you do have to watch your parameters and so forth and learn how to make the parts print well. Well, I've been going on here for a little while, and I guess we'll be doing some editing and cutting and so forth on this video to try to pick out some of the pieces that I think you might be interested in watching on the YouTube channel. I'll keep working on this room and get it operational, and then set up the camera in here later and let you see some assembly going on. So until the next time, happy printing from New Tech Inventors.